How does an actor become the face of a global series and then suddenly walk away from it? When Henry Cavill first appeared in The Witcher, everything seemed to align perfectly. The casting made sense, the performance connected, and the audience responded. But over time, something began to change, and people started asking questions. Before we go deeper, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more real stories. Fame's secrets revealed. From the beginning, Henry Cavill's connection to The Witcher felt different. This wasn't just another role. It was something personal. He had openly expressed his interest in the story long before stepping into the role. He understood the world. He respected the source material, and he approached the character with a level of detail that fans quickly noticed. That kind of connection is rare, because when an actor is not just performing a role, but genuinely invested in it, it shows. And that's exactly what happened here. The early seasons gained attention quickly, not just because of the story, but because of the performance. People saw consistency, intensity, and a sense of authenticity, and that built trust. Trust between the actor and the audience. But success always comes with something else. Expectations, and expectations grow fast. With each new season, the audience wanted more depth, more accuracy, more connection to the original story. And at the same time, the production itself was evolving. New directions, new creative decisions, and new interpretations of the story. And that's where things begin to shift. Because when a project grows, so do the number of perspectives involved. Writers, producers, directors, each with their own vision, each with their own understanding of what the story should become. And most of the time, those visions align. But sometimes they don't fully match. And when that happens, the difference isn't always loud. It's subtle, small changes, different choices, shifts in tone. And over time, those small changes start to become noticeable, not immediately, but gradually. And that's exactly what people began to observe. Discussions started appearing, not official statements, not direct confirmations, but observations. Fans began comparing seasons, noticing differences, talking about direction, and trying to understand what was happening behind the scenes. Because when something feels different, even if you can't explain it, you notice it, and that curiosity starts building. At the same time, Henry Cavill continued performing, continuing to bring consistency to the role, continuing to maintain the character in a way that felt familiar to audiences. But the environment around the performance was evolving, and that created a contrast between what people expected and what they were starting to see. And that contrast led to questions, not dramatic ones, but persistent ones. Why does it feel different? What's changing? And where is this going? And then, eventually, the moment came. The announcement. Henry Cavill would no longer continue with the series. And that's when everything shifted. Because until that point, everything was speculation. But now, it became real. And the reaction was immediate. Surprise, confusion, and a wave of discussion. Because for many people, he wasn't just part of the show, he was the show. And when something that's central changes, it affects everything. People began looking for answers, trying to understand why, trying to connect the dots, and trying to make sense of what felt like a sudden decision. But stories like this are rarely sudden. They develop over time, through decisions, through changes, and through moments that are not always visible. And that's what makes them complex, because there isn't just one reason. There are layers, creative direction, long-term planning, personal priorities, and the balance between them. And when that balance shifts, outcomes change. Another important factor is expectation. When something becomes successful, the expectations around it become stronger, not just from the audience, but from everyone involved. And meeting those expectations is not always simple, because different people define success differently. Some focus on staying true to the original story. Others focus on expanding it. Others focus on reaching a wider audience. And those perspectives don't always align perfectly. And when they don't, the direction changes. And those changes eventually lead to decisions that shape the future of the project. And in this case, one of those decisions became very visible. But what's interesting is how the story continued after that. Because the conversation didn't stop, it grew. Fans continued discussing it, comparing what was to what might come next, and trying to understand what this meant for the future. Because when a key figure steps away from a major project, it creates uncertainty, and uncertainty creates attention. People want to know what happens next. They want to see how things evolve, and they want to understand the impact of the change. And that's why this story remains active, not just because of what happened, but because of what it represents. It represents how complex large productions can be, how many moving parts are involved, and how different perspectives can shape the final outcome. Because at this level, nothing is simple. Every decision is connected. Every change has an effect, and every outcome is part of a larger system. In the end, Henry Cavill remains one of the most recognized actors in the industry, and The Witcher continues as a global series. But this situation highlights something important. Even when everything seems aligned, things can change, not suddenly, but gradually, through small shifts, through evolving direction, and through decisions that are not always visible to the public. And that's what makes this story so interesting, because it's not just about one moment. It's about everything that led up to it, everything that changed, and everything that continues to evolve. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Fame's Secrets Revealed.